welcome to Celluloid and Scotch episode 4. If you're looking for Carlito, so are we.
Yeah, I'm not Carlito. I don't have the hat or the glasses for that.
No, it's very weird that he has not shown up, so hopefully he will pop on. But filling in, he was just going to be a guest, but now he's guest host, apparently. We have John's Comics with Kids. Drinking up. And hello, Jen. Wow. Okay, Jen, I see how it is. Wow.
At least somebody, I'm just glad somebody is. In fact, let me share this video, make sure other people are seeing it.
I thought Jen loved me. I guess not. Boy.
She really likes me for my kids, so I feel you on that one.
Oh, I'm her even. Wow. This is the story of my life. I'm just being used for other people. So we're today going to be discussing a movie that I feel is like dangerously overlooked when you go through Nolan's catalog. And when I posted about it, everybody's like, yeah, it's a great movie. I don't know why more people don't talk about it. And maybe it's because it got sandwiched in between Dark Knight and Batman Begins that just kind of got overlooked. Hey, Jeff. Yeah, I'm really here for Caine, Charlie.
They're not going to show up, although they have seen this movie. It's one of the Nolan-verse movies that they have seen, besides obviously the Batman trilogy. So they are fans of this one, and they always describe it as the movie where Wolverine, Batman, and the Black Widow are battling.
Actually, you know what? That's true. Carlito is having cat problems. He said he'll be on in a minute. I don't know what that means, but all right. We're going to be discussing The Prestige. I probably undersold that a little bit. And Fear Street 94, the first part, not the whole thing, because that was 7 hours and I wasn't going to do that to John.
And I didn't have a chance to watch Fear Street, so I'll just have to listen in on that one a little bit.
It's fine. I think it's going to be what we talked about the least, more than likely. And like always, we'll have our movies that we bring that we think people missed out on or should watch or we just love.
And I'm not going to spoil what I picked, but I tried to pick a movie that in some way reminds me of what Prestige is for Christopher Nolan. And we'll see if that plays out.
Weirdly, this same year, there was 2 magic movies that came out. The Illusionist, which they hyped it up, and I love that.
I will say it have a good cast. You know,
I love Ed Norton.
Yeah, Edward Norton. I think and isn't Jessica Biel in that one?
Yes, she was the love interest.
And I just think it was, any other time, I think it would have been a better remembered movie. But clearly, The Prestige is the superior film in the same way that I think, Shark's Tale is intelligently sort of forgotten because Finding Nemo is so great. Same kind of thing here.
I'm going to admit something I've never watched either.
Oh, Finding Nemo is maybe it might be like top 3-4 Pixar movies for me.
WALL-E, I think, was one of my favorites.
It's great. Great movie.
And it weirdly like seeing the kind of slouching towards Gamora kind of weird like lifestyles that now are. I have some interesting numbers when I was doing research on this movie that this movie had a whole second life on video. So the budget for the movie was $40 million.
Okay. All basically for the costumes and sets
and the cast.
And that was pretty much it.
He actually started working on this before Batman Begins and then shelved it. And then WB and Legendary were like, Batman Begins made a shitload of money. Whatever you want to do. And after every Batman movie, we will let you do whatever movie you want to be. And the budget just kept growing. Because after Dark Knight was Inception.
Okay.
So, and that was a very, very ambitious movie.
Absolutely.
He also had his pick of cast that he's like Leonardo DiCaprio. Will have Tom Hardy before he really broke. Elliot Page.
I think at this point in his career, he had a pretty consistent track record. I think you really look at his films, even the smaller films like Insomnia, are these really tour de force motion pictures that really capture the imagination. Early on, I think he he had created this sort of name for himself.
The box office domestic was 53 million, international 51 million. And here's where it gets interesting. Domestic DVD sales were almost as much as international, what it brought in. It did 48 million in domestic DVD sales alone, not counting VOD, which is impressive for a small movie. So it made its budget back just on DVD.
Right.
So great track record. This was based on a novel by Christopher Priest, not the comic writer. It's a whole other Christopher Priest. I was like, wait, the guy who wrote Black Panther? Hold on. And then I started looking, there's a British writer named Christopher Priest.
I mean, it's not a terribly uncommon name, I suppose. But I do think at this point, you talk about Memento, Batman Begins, and Insomnia. He'd had a good track record with getting actors of a high caliber and then getting something new out of them that you hadn't really seen before. I mean, even specifically Pacino and Robin Williams in Insomnia, and even Hilary Swank, all just really give great performances. Also, him and Rian Johnson kind of had like the same trajectory where they started on these indie films and then they started getting bigger budgets. Like Brick by Rian Johnson is still easily one of my top like noir movies. Shot in basically my neighborhood, my backyard. Really? So San Clemente High School is where they shot it, and that's where Rian Johnson went, I want to say. Oh. And that high school is less than 30 minutes drive from me. Like it's a super close location. And then he brought it to some film festivals I worked at. So a good friend of mine still emails with him, has his personal email and emails with Ryan about stuff all the time because we fell in love with Brick, and then it moved into Brothers Bloom. And I forgot about Brothers Bloom. Yeah, that was also excellent. I think that was the last Orlando Bloom movie. It wasn't Orlando Bloom. That's what's his name? Adrian Brody. Was. Oh God, not Colin Farrell. Carlito, what's up, man? Oh, he's here. He has recovered from his catastrophe. Yeah. Also, I'm not top shelf whiskey. You should put him in the top shelf. I'm not top shelf whiskey here on the show. All right. I am drinking Glenfiddich 15 year. Ooh. Knowing that I was going to be hanging out with Carlito, I got the Eagle Rare out. So I'm nice. Having the Eagle Rare. I just ordered a bottle. Dude, that is man, that's one of my favorites. So good. Yeah, I don't save it for special occasions. You guys are a great example of that. And we appreciate you coming on last minute because I know you were out camping. Well, you bring up this movie and it kind of, stirs a lot of energy and excitement in me. So I'm happy to talk about it. Again, it's so weird talking about this movie with other people. Like, yeah, I really why don't people talk about this more? And it's so weird because, the actors, Hugh Jackman at this point hadn't really stretched out as an actor because he'd been Wolverine. And I think this really started him, branching out into other stuff. Right. Carlito. And we're talking about The Prestige, so, Yeah. Hello, Entropy and Comics. Good to see you. What's up, Kevin? I'm hoping to hang out with Kevin next week. So, Unruly Simeon, always good to see you, brother. I was just telling earlier the numbers, Carlito. This movie did 53 million domestic, 51 international, 48 million just in DVD sales. In North America, DVD sales? Yes, domestic. Yeah. Just domestic. So it's insane. Yeah. I think just a ton of people missed out on it in theaters for whatever reason and found it later and loved it enough to buy it. And I got to say, an actor who Nolan picked up and just gave these great character actor roles. Michael Caine had this resurgence during this time, and he's fucking great. Yeah. He's in a lot of ways, he's the conscience of this story because you have so many people without a moral compass whatsoever. And Michael Caine is trying to guide them a little bit and none of them want to listen to him. And he has to be the Jiminy Cricket for them until the very end when he has to make a pretty intense moral decision for himself that he doesn't even know if he can live with.
And he tells Danton early on, he goes, "It's two people. That's what it is," and he just refuses to believe him.
Yep.
Also, shout out to David Bowie playing Nikola Tesla.
Dude, I was like, I don't know if I forgot or what, but like that threw me off at first. I'm like, wait a minute, is that David Bowie? It's crazy.
The Illusionist came out the same year.
Yeah. I think that one got advertised better personally.
It's not a horrible movie. It's actually a solid movie. It's just not The Prestige.
I did see a lot of complaints about this movie with the whole kind of like doubling back, showing you everything you might have missed. It is a world compass. Listen, Bearded, I can send you the link if you want to come on, brother.
Yeah.
I think the complaints I've heard mostly are that some of the reveals are a little preposterous at the end and a little ludicrous. But for me, I buy into it completely because this is a movie that plays with science and magic, or science and illusion, and that is a wonderful playground where it was an era in time when people still believed there was a lot of magic to be had. And still believed that these things were real and were horrified by them. And at the same time, we were having huge leaps in science. And I think some of that seemed almost like magic. And I think to play in that playground is a lot of fun.
The ending was sleight of hand when you think about it. Like,
Absolutely.
It was misdirection and everything. And I mean, the root of this movie is jealousy. And like the whole way you're watching before the reveal, and you're like, God, like, Borden's just bipolar. And even his wife calls it out, Rebecca Hall, who was magnificent as Sarah, where she's like, there's the one who's just in love with me and the other one that's in love with magic.
Yep. Some days it's true when you say you love me, and some days it's not.
Yeah. And Scarlett Johansson has such a small role in this.
Yeah. But it's such a pivotal one, just like Amanda. Is it Amanda Seyfried? Is she the other one?
No, it was Piper Perabo.
Piper Perabo. Like that, they both are almost playing the two halves of a similar coin as far as what Borden's other half needs. You know, they are feeding on that need on his side. And I think it's kind of interesting for the way the women play out, because you mentioned that this movie is about jealousy, but for me it's about like the fragility of the male ego. Like there's a ton of like the man's need to create or invent something for themselves and to make a name for themselves, and the women are just like trodden underneath the wheel of this. And I think there's a lot of ways to look at this as the intense male need that drives this has just complete blinders to the rest of the world and what they're doing to it to get their ends.
So Carlito, you are our Nolan expert. Where is this in your like grand scheme of Nolan?
Dude, I got to be honest. Like, I think the last time I saw this was right around when it came out, so it was almost like seeing it fresh again. And
Nice.
God, I think it's just severely underrated for a Nolan film.
It holds up. It holds up great, like,
dude. It totally does. And like all the things you guys were saying, but also I saw it as like, to me, a movie like about obsession and how they just, some people can just go too far and just ruin everything around them because they're so obsessed in like this microcosm of this world they've created,
Absolutely.
But I mean, on the flip side though, that's how we get some of our greatest inventions and moving forward through time as humans, so I don't know. It's, again, Nolan makes movies that makes me think, and I'm here for every second of it. Like, even if there's little stuff that bothers me, like, I eat that up. Obviously. I mean, look at me. I eat that shit up.
That discussion when he's like, you never sacrificed anything, Danton. You didn't sacrifice anything for your art. You were always rich. And he's like, didn't I? And then they show him killing himself basically repeatedly.
Yeah. See, like, and that's another thing too, is he kind of flipped my emotions on Jay or Danton, because I thought he was just a horrible, despicable, selfish person the whole thing. And like, this guy hasn't sacrificed crap. Hugh Jackman.
You thought Hugh Jackman was, yeah.
Yeah, because he hasn't sacrificed anything. He's stolen ideas from everybody else, stolen tricks. So, I mean, he's a great showman, which I'm not going to go down that road about the greatest showman. But anyway, like, I don't know. He pissed me off the whole movie, and I hated him. And I actually felt bad for Christian Bale's character or characters.
I think it's easy because the point of view of the movie seems to be Bale.
Sort of, yeah.
It's easier to side with Bale, but I think if you really like boil it down to what starts this all off, it's Bale screwing up because of his cheap male ego. Like, that's what starts this all off.
I mean, they're both. Don't get me wrong; they're both pretty despicable as far as humans go. But
you see,
like, I just felt more a little bit for Bale's character than
you see him tie that knot. Because the real villain of the movie,
she nodded though. She said, "Go ahead and do it."
He does.
So
the real villain seems to be Bale's evil side, right? The one that causes almost all the problems. There's distinctly, and the more I watch The Prestige, the magic trick for me is Christian Bale's performance, because you can watch it, and in every scene, you can tell which brother it is.
He walks differently. I noticed it.
Once you've watched it a few times, it's like every moment there's an element of truth to let you know which brother you're seeing. And there's in my opinion, a distinctly ego-driven brother and a distinctly logic-brained, sympathetic brother. And the one that killed the girl is obviously the ego-driven brother. Right. And the one that pays the price for it by getting shot in the hand is not that brother. It's the logic brother. And he even says, I don't know what knot I tied, because he didn't tie the freaking knot. Like, he's like, dude, I didn't even do it. Like, what are you doing right now?
Oh, I didn't even think of that part.
Yeah.
If you watch the
he wouldn't have known.
The other Borden is obviously there taking the money and picking the audience member to do the bullet catch. And he's like, oh, crap, what did I just do to my brother? Like, I just endangered my brother. And, you watch, you watch the emotion. Well, and the taking the fingers off later is just the ego-driven brother owning what he's done in some way. Like, his drive is so intense that he's like, well, this is where we are now, and we got to keep going. But like, you watch the reaction in that bullet catch moment, and you see Bale go through the reactions of, I know who this is. I can talk myself out of this, all the way through to, I'm apologizing for my brother. You know, you can see him go through all the thoughts, even though he says almost none of it out loud. It's a great scene.
There's the part where Hugh Jackman's following him through the streets, and Fallon, a.k.a. the other brother, is walking differently.
It's the evil brother then, too, that he traps and nails into the coffin. Right?
When Hugh Jackman gets confused when he's picking up the child and visiting the wife, because he's like, wait, what's going on? This dude's bipolar. Like, it confuses him. And if you're not noticing, once you watched it and then go back and watch it again, you start picking up all these little things. And there is like a snake eating its tail kind of thing, the way it begins and the way it ends.
Yeah.
Where almost Michael Caine might be our POV character.
It's possible.
He's Alfred.
He narrates the beginning and the end by talking about what the prestige is, and But that scene you mentioned when they bury Fallon, and it's the evil brother that gets buried, because that night when he's rescued him and they go to dinner, now the evil brother gets to be Borden, and he's at dinner getting drunk, and he's invited his girlfriend and his wife to dinner, and it's this incredible scene where you watch Borden, the evil Borden, and you watch Fallon, who is the other brother who's just feeling horrible guilt but can't do anything about what's taking place. And the brother that's getting drunk is just like, I can't believe I'm still alive. I need to celebrate life again. And my anger and my fear is all coming real for me. It's amazing because the first time you watch it, you think he's upset because he almost lost his friend. But no, he's upset because of a near-death experience. And we are seeing that. And that's another amazing performance scene for Bale.
Also, like the reveal of the machine when Jackman's all pissed off and all of a sudden he's outside listening to the two cats fight, and all the hats are out there. He's like, "Wait, what is going on?" I thought that was interesting, and Tesla going, "You know what? Don't use this machine." And we also have Andy Serkis playing his groundskeeper.
Yeah. Andy Serkis and David Bowie are a great pair in that movie.
Yes, definitely. It's so hard to understand why this movie got overlooked, other than it got sandwiched between two great Batman movies. I mean, Batman Begins, I think, still my favorite. I actually like it more than Dark Knight.
That might be your hottest take on this series of shows you've ever done.
It sets the table. It sets the table. Like, if it failed, and it's kind of like the French Connection, the way they're running it. Like, it's kind of interesting. And Michael Caine, was so funny in that movie.
I'm not saying anything negative against it, but The Dark Knight, I mean, it is like the second greatest.
Yeah.
The very final act of Dark Knight with Two-Face ruins it for me.
I'm sad that they killed Two-Face in that movie, but it doesn't ruin it for me. I wish they kept Two-Face alive.
Leaving him free would have been better.
And I think that little we're going to keep a secret for the city is basically the nugget that ruins the third movie for me. And so I get all of that, but I mean, it's Superman the movie and it's Dark Knight. It's right there for me. But Bowie is so perfect as Tesla.
He's eccentric. He just does it great. His delivery.
Yeah. He's super subtle.
Also reading about
Labyrinth, where he's doing
the magic dance,
right?
Sock down in front of his pants, and with a very young Jennifer Connelly.
Oh man, I still haven't seen that yet, but I own it.
It's worth a watch. That and Ridley Scott's Legend.
Yes,
I think someone else has told me that one before, or maybe you mentioned it before. I can't remember.
Just for
Mia Sara,
but no, the dude who plays Darkness.
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry playing Darkness. He's awesome.
Yeah, for me as a kid, it was like Tim Curry was either a Rocky Horror Picture Show or Legend. Those were you see these two performances, and you're like, this guy is psychedelic evil, and I'm all about it.
And then Pennywise.
I was gonna say I thought Pennywise, but
later I got Pennywise, but I saw those two movies way before it.
Man Who Fell to Earth. I will go to The Hunger, which was a crazy vampire movie during the 80s.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get too crazy, but this is just a thought I had. It might be fleeting, it might be stupid, but so the whole Tesla thing. And with the hats and the cats and stuff, to me, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, okay, is Tesla pulling this over on Hugh Jackman? But then when you see all at the end, it kind of puts that to rest. But for a second there, Nolan gets so good at that, making you question everything.
Right.
That I don't know, I just love it. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Also, the thing that I like that they did in Looper that they did in this. They don't explain shit. They're like, this is the science. It happened. We're not going to talk about it again.
Right. Deal with it.
A clone that has the perfect memories.
I think that's when Nolan shines better. I don't like his big, long, explanatory pieces sometimes that he has that people complain about. So,
yeah, I think that was the thing I liked about Inception. They didn't really dwell on it long, except for the getting trapped in limbo.
Right.
But it was such a key part of the movie.
I think that's why it did better than if he'd thrown explaining crap into it, So
yeah, exposition in any kind
exposition.
Of
that's the word.
Is really challenging, and yet you always need it. So it's always interesting to see how a filmmaker does it. Because one of my favorite examples could have easily been a classic fail, was just Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they basically give you the entire movie. What are we drinking?
We're opening up
No.
Klein Leash 14.
Ooh.
And this was part of the hunt that I had Jimmy Geek Aficionado go on in Chicago. So shout out to him for hooking me up. Finally opened it up. But
so Raiders of the Lost Ark, they basically, in the right there at the school in the opening 20 minutes of the movie, they literally sit the audience down with a chalkboard and a book, and they explain the entire concept of the movie, so that later on they never have to give you another piece of exposition. They just let this movie run wild. And it works because it's Harrison Ford. He's like super handsome. He's like talking and he's drawing.
He's very teacher-like too sometimes.
And then later you have that scene in the Well of Souls where it's completely without any dialogue, and it's like riveting. And you're like, oh, he showed us this. He showed us this. And I think they did a similar thing here in The Prestige, where they have all the little groundwork played out. And whether it's the bird in the cage that dies, and then later one of the brothers gets squashed and the other one comes back. Like there's a similar reveal played out again and again with these magic tricks that is the structure of the whole movie, sort of repeated.
Which Michael Caine talks about it at the end. He goes, there's the trick, the turn, and the prestige. And at the end, you get the prestige, and they show you how it happened.
Yeah.
So I thought, again, that's that symbolism going on that you don't think about until on the first view at all.
No.
And talking about exposition, Blade Runner explained everything to such extents where you're just like, all right.
It depends on which movie you watched. Are you talking about the original?
The original.
Because there's like 3 different versions, and my favorite
final cut.
I love the one without any of the like narration, and it's just like let the movie roll, and you're like, what the heck? Let's just ride the ride. Because then I think it fits better with the sequel, where there's like no narration, and you just have to like soak it in and get it for yourself.
Again, I love the fact that and John Carpenter's The Thing came out in the same damn week in 1982, which would never fucking happen now, ever. And E.T. stomped both of them into oblivion. Like, literally, I want to say that they were in the theaters for 2 weeks.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, Harrison Ford's wife crushed him at the box office.
Mm-hmm. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was his wife. Oh.
Yeah, she wrote E.T.
Oh my god. And it's weird because there's those movies that are happy accidents.
Right.
Like we talked about what the fuck? I'm sorry.
Someone hasn't seen E.T.?
What?
Here's the thing. Here's what I want you to do.
Get out of here.
You watch E.T. and then watch Iron Giant back to back. It's basically the same movie, and they're both going to bring you to tears.
Except one has Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel is the robot, yeah.
Yes. He's good at those monosyllabic things, like
honestly, when he says Superman, I'm just a blubbery mess at the end of Iron Giant. When he says Superman, I'm done.
Speaking of Superman, you and Bearded are doing a Richard Donner retrospective after this.
Oh, yeah. We wanted to do it a while back, but my schedule has been brutal, and I've been skipping shows on Saturdays, and then my schedule opened up today, and I thought, you know what, let's just go for it. We love these movies. We don't need to watch anything again. Let's just dive in.
Also, real funny, Jeff Johns got his start as Richard Donner's assistant.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's how he got into DC. They were doing the conspiracy theory movie with Mel Gibson.
Right.
And they happened to have people from DC on the set because they had their big book of conspiracies. And Jeff Johns went over there and started talking to them about it. And the next thing you know, he was doing Stargirl.
Man.
Like, just the weirdest way into the business you could have had.
There's no normal route from what I can understand. It's all happenstance.
No, I like the ones where the actresses are spotted at a Starbucks by a production assistant or a director, and they're like, "Hey, you should come over."
Or when
Michelle
it's like,
Rodriguez was found at Toys R Us working.
Jesus.
when it's like somebody's brother and they go with them to the audition, but they get the role because they're like, hanging out in the waiting area, and somebody's like, that kid, why isn't that kid coming in right now?
Matthew Lillard for Scream went in to visit his girlfriend, who was just happened to be on the production working as like a script advisor. Went in and they were like, hey, come in here.
Yeah.
You have the look. And next thing you know, he's Stu.
Yep.
It's like Matthew Perry for Friends. He was reading scripts with his friends that were trying out for it, and then somehow or another that didn't work, and then he tried it and he got it. So
Mark Hamill got the Luke Skywalker job because Robert Englund had tried for it and told him
they were roommates, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, can you picture Robert Englund as Luke Skywalker?
No.
But everybody tried out for those parts. I mean, everybody was auditioning for Star Wars back then.
It's like that SNL skit with Christopher Walken going for Han Solo.
So good. So good. But I mean, I think some of those casting things are highly entertaining, to hear who could have been in. But with the Prestige, could you imagine anybody except Hugh, Bale, and Caine in these three roles?
Perfectly cast.
They each one brings something. I mean, Hugh has this showman. He's always been the greatest showman, and he has this like chiseled perfection that he is Angiers. And then you look at Christian Bale, and he has this intensity, this work focus, this like, I am on task, and nothing's going to distract me from my goal. And then, you've got Michael Caine, who's this elder statesman, wise man, and it's like all of these parts are so well suited. And
Christian Bale, like his obsession with his craft, like if you've gone back to The Machinist and saw the weight he lost, and then goes right into
Batman, and then crazy.
Yeah, like I mean, he's kind of. I mean, we've all heard the tape of him freaking out on the Terminator set.
But I mean, I think Carlito might have shared me this meme that was like, tell your girl that you look like Christian Bale, just don't tell her which one. And it's like this grid of like 9 Christian Bales, and you've got like, which one do you want to be? You can look at him in American Hustler. You can look at him when he was playing Dick Cheney. Like you can pick the Christian Bale you want him to be.
Because The Fighter, where he was like the crackhead brother from Mickey Ward.
Yeah, he is a real transformative kind of actor, which works again for a performer who has to pretend to be someone else at the same time.
You used to hear that about Marlon Brando early in his career.
Yeah.
Where he was like just completely into it, and then he just started mailing it in. Where I heard The Godfather, he couldn't remember his lines, so they were stapling on the back of people's clothing the script.
I love the stories about Superman, the movie, where he was just trying to sell Richard Donner on making him a hologram for the entire movie so that he didn't have to actually be on set, that they could just like put him with a black background and he could sit in a chair and do the entire performance as a hologram. And
he was paid in gold.
So insane.
Yeah, he wanted to be paid in pure gold. So the the Salkinds paid him in just gold.
So bonkers.
I mean, he is probably one of the most interesting people in Hollywood. Just like between winning the award and then bringing the Native American to accept it for him, like.
Yep.
Yes, Michael Caine just. And for those who don't know, he had the greatest interview after Hannah and her sisters won. He got an Oscar for that, and someone interviewed him like, "Yeah, so Jaws 4 was horrible," and he goes, "Yep, I've heard it's not bad. I've heard it's not good, but I've seen the house it bought and it's beautiful." Like,
there you go.
That dude is just so amazing, and there was a horror movie that he did when I was a kid that was on TV all the Hand. The guy's hand gets cut off while he has it outside of a car during an accident, and then it starts attacking people. Oh, yeah, like...
What?
So they basically made a movie out of the best scene from Evil Dead?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Well, this is pre-Evil Dead even.
No, okay. So they made they made a great scene in Evil Dead out of that's one movie?
Actually, I've watched all the extras for the Evil Dead movies. So Sam Raimi is a huge, and Bruce Campbell are huge fans of the Three Stooges. So it was meant to be just one giant Three Stooges skit.
There you go.
Never seen him.
So funny.
So you can skip the first Evil Dead.
Yeah,
And just watch Evil Dead 2.
They basically just remade it with a better budget
and comedy.
Yeah.
So, John, have you read the book The Prestige by the English writer Christopher Priest?
I haven't, and it's funny because a lot of his movies in the early part were adaptations of other movies or other forms. A book his brother was writing or whatever. And I've never read any of the material for his other movies. I've just enjoyed the movies. So, have you?
No, I actually completely forgot it was based off of a book. So,
also, I have a complaint about this 4K disc. The extras are fucking horrible. You added nothing new, and all the extras were 3 minutes long.
Most 4Ks are like that. It's the Blu-rays that have all the.
Well, they have the Blu-ray disc in it, but those were what I'm saying. Like it was 3 minutes long. The sound mix was the same 5.1.
Yeah, see, I don't understand how they do that on 4K. It doesn't make sense to me. It's like Tenet. The Tenet, it's the Master Audio 5.1. I'm like, what?
I think that's just the choice by him, and he has the juice to be like, no, this is what we're doing.
They're going to remaster them all eventually.
Because he picked the negative for this one that they'd used. It had that in the Blu-ray review. And also, another movie by him that I don't think it's talked about enough, Dunkirk.
Oh, God, I love that movie.
That was so just good. Beauty of cinema, especially I saw that in IMAX.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and the performances were great. But I love his diversity for the movies that he picks to do. Like, you can have this big sci-fi movie, you can have this action movie, then you have this period piece. Yeah. I mean, I'm always wanting to know what happens next, because now he's done that sci-fi piece with Tenet. What do we get next?
He's probably going to be working on it for like 10 years, so...
He's not James Cameron. Like, what are we, 20 years now almost?
Well, I mean, he'll still put out stuff, but like his next big one will be something he's been writing for like another 5 or 10 years. So
I think his little movies, though, appeal to me more at this point, though.
I would say The Prestige, Dark Knight, and Memento are my 3 favorites, and I don't know. I mean, Memento is clearly for me number 1, but like the other 2, depending on the day, the week, I might go back and forth between the other 2.
Well, Guy Pearce in that movie was just insanely intense, and like I had no idea who Guy Pearce was until I watched that. And oh boy,
yeah. But I think in the case of a lot of his movies, there's always that character with obsession driving them. And I think it's very interesting to see that. It was true in Insomnia, and it's true in these 2 movies, Memento and The Prestige.
It's kind of a case of projection a little bit, isn't it?
A little bit. I think, or at least he clearly understands it and can relate.
I would say, going back to Memento, like Guy Pearce, his intensity, I would almost match to Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men.
Ooh.
Which, I mean, some of the greatest scenes in a kind of slow movie were all Javier Bardem.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he steals that movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Memento is a little bit better than that one, but
the Head and Shoulders for me.
My brother really loves like that's his favorite movie. So
No Country for Old Men is one of my least favorite Coen brother movies.
Same here.
Bardem is just so good,
but he is phenomenal in it.
I blame Cormac McCarthy because I hate his books. So I mean, I'm happy to throw him under the bus and just say the problem is the source material.
Gotcha.
Because I think his books are horribly depressing. And this is when Fire Guy Ryan usually jumps in the chat and berates
where's he at?
Like Cormac McCarthy.
Was The Road? What Revolution Road? Wasn't that one of his?
Yeah, The Road. Just The Road.
The Road. Oh, no. Yeah. Revolution Road was that terrible one with Kate Winslet that I just wanted to freaking bang my head into it.
All the Pretty Horses is another one of his. And
his
books are always downers. His books are always heavily depressing. And usually the glimmers of hope are just the Northern Lights. They're just fake. They're not real. And so I have a hard time watching them because I usually find all the characters pretty despicable and pretty exhausting to be around. And by the end, I'm ready to never watch the movie again. So that's kind of where I fell out in most of his movies. And so I don't blame the Coen brothers for that.
but the Javier Bardem is riveting, and so is Tommy Lee Jones is great in that one too.
Well, even Josh Brolin's good in it too. So,
we'll get to Fear Street a little bit. John didn't watch it either.
A little bit.
The Coen brothers are fantastic.
Yeah, it's really well made. I agree with that. But
the road was God.
So I have a Cormac McCarthy problem, and I know people that love his stuff, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, just not your cup of tea,
It's just I know it's like I know what I'm getting going in with him, and I don't like it. I don't want it.
So is it all like fiction then? All of his depressing stuff?
Yes.
It's all fiction, but it's always usually like connected to some truth that he feels, and then it goes from there, because it's usually very gritty, very real. Even The Road, which is like a post-apocalyptic future kind of thing, is very grounded in making you feel that it's real. And that's the most depressing part about it, is you're like, oh God, I feel like I lived this life.
See, for me, I'm such a history guy that like I can read a bunch of depressing historical stuff. I don't need to do that in my fiction. So I tend to go towards the Michael Crichtons and the who's the guy that did all the lawyer ones? Grisham and Tom Clancy and stuff like that, where it's like a little bit more theatrical than
I am looking forward for the nonfiction movie, The Devil in the White City adaptation.
I can't wait for that. Sweet.
Fantastic book if no one's read it.
One day they'll make that. I feel like they keep trying to, and it keeps like falling by the wayside. I don't know if they've actually started production on it, but I keep waiting. I know Leo bought it and owned it for a really long time.
So we'll finish up on the Prestige here.
No, I
have one question about the Prestige. Just there's no wrong answer to this one. Is he the guy in the box, or is he the guy in the Prestige? Meaning, the machine works, right? The story of the film works because there's a machine that creates duplicates. Is the duplicate appearing on the stage and then drowning? And he is
it's the real him.
And the real version is being teleported up to the balcony.
The real him's dropping.
Is he dying every night, and a duplicate is the one appearing in the Prestige?
So when he talks about when he's saying you haven't sacrificed, he's like, I've died every night.
He thinks that, but how does he even know?
He might not even know.
Right.
That might be.
Yeah, I would think it's him because, no.
Because they showed the cat.
Yeah, it is. It is because the person that shows up somewhere else is the copy or whatever.
Is it?
So
because you can argue that that's
how Tesla's
and transporting, right?
That's how Tesla's machine worked, though. The guy that fell through into the tank, that was the real him.
Yes, I mean the serial killer from the World's Fair. That is Devil in the White City.
Yeah. Wasn't that the first? They think the first serial killer in the U.S.
H. Holmes.
Yes.
I've watched a lot of documentary crap or docudramas on it, but I still haven't seen a good
book
adaptation.
You almost don't even need anything but the book.
I read that the John Adams book the same year, and man, both were just unbelievably fantastic. Man.
What's the one that has the drawings of his freaking murder mansion or whatever in there? I know there's one because all the architectural stuff was originally burned or lost or something, but they had someone recreate by memory, and draw the floors. It's probably a newer book. I mean, I could be wrong, but no, not Jack the Ripper, Jeffrey. That's England.
They were calling him the American Jack the Ripper, though.
Yeah. Oh, I got you.
They're also, I mean, if you've never watched David Fincher's Zodiac.
I need to go back and revisit that because I've had this. The other night, I always, sometimes I go to sleep to crime TV. And I just put it on and
now I'm
the narrator. So here's the thing: the narration by the narrators, the voice and stuff. I don't know what it is, but I think it has to do with a certain time period in my life where Forensic Files was big on TV, and it used to just be on in my parents' house, and I would fall asleep to it in the background, and so I don't know, it just helps me fall asleep for some reason. But yeah,
I would say Zodiac is just as much about obsession just as powerful and dark. And I've read the book. It made me want to read the book.
Mark Ruffalo was fantastic in that.
I should read the book.
The book is mind-blowingly interesting because there are so many things that Fincher couldn't put in his movie, because Fincher had a rule for himself making that movie, which was if there was no witness that would speak about it, he didn't put it in the movie. And there were so many crimes that are linked to the Zodiac where there was no witness. And the book chronicles every single lead or false lead and doesn't really judge any of them, just sort of lays the information out as best as possible. And it's amazing to put it all together and to see the obsession of the writer and what he was going through, because it bleeds off of the paper.
Jake Gyllenhaal was great in that. That and End of Watch, I think, are probably his two best.
Oh, End of Watch was so good.
Nightcrawler also, he was obsessed and insane.
Yeah.
Didn't like Donnie Darko. I'm probably one of the random people who just was not a huge fan of that.
I'm one of the rare people that Nightcrawler was not for me. Like, I'll grant that Gyllenhaal was great in it, but like that movie made me feel like I needed to take 2 showers, and that I
got a reaction out of you though, which it wanted to do.
Yeah, I just like I don't know. Yeah,
we might
like how John feels about that one writer's like adaptations in movies. That's kind of how I feel towards movies like Nightcrawler. Is like, I don't know. It just left me like, what was the point? Why was I watching that? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen it again. I watched it the one time just to see.
No, I've never watched it again.
I mean, I will say it was definitely worth checking out, but it's not something I'd like throw on.
There was another movie with Natalie Portman, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Tobey Maguire, the brothers, where Tobey Maguire was held hostage in Iraq and then comes back. No. He came back from being held hostage, and he basically was having PTSD, and he was freaking out. He thought his brother and his wife were having an affair, and then pulls a gun on them. Like,
wow.
Interesting, weird. Darko hit my weird bone just right when it came. It was good. It's one of those things where I get with Doctor Who. Everybody was calling it an A+ movie when I think it's like a C+ at best.
What about Source Code? I like Source Code.
It was good.
I know you like that. I don't think I've seen.
I like Duncan Jones as a filmmaker as well, because I love Moon.
Moon. Sam Rockwell was
so freaking good.
So Source Code, that takes place partly in Chicago, doesn't it?
It bounced around. I
don't remember what city. It's obviously on the elevated train. Like 90% of the movie's on an elevated train.
Okay.
Is Sam Rockwell one of the great character actors now that I don't think people appreciate enough?
Amazing.
Dude, I saw him in Galaxy Quest, and I'm like, who is this guy? I want to see him in everything now.
Like Iron Man 2, he was so good
I
as Justin
Hammer. I love him.
He was fantastic. And the end credit scene in the one movie, or the extra where him and Sir Ben Kingsley are in jail together.
Oh, wait. Sam Rockwell's in there?
Yeah, he was in one of the extras. I forget what movie it was, but it's him and Ben Kingsley in jail. And he's like,
I think it was one of the extra scenes, the extra pieces they shot to go with Iron Man 3.
It was the one where they were trying to kind of retcon the whole Mandarin thing, right?
I like the Mandarin thing. I'm probably one of the weirdos who like that. It was just such a good twist, and Ben Kingsley was just so good. Of Mr. President.
I'm out.
I can't remember the meme that I saw, but it was basically showing how Marvel does this, and they gave us a version of the Mandarin because they knew they had the real Mandarin coming in Shang-Chi, and they didn't care. This is going to be funny. Now.
Yeah.
No, I could see it when I saw the movie. I could legitimately see it when I saw the movie. I was like, the mythology of the Mandarin is ancient. So it's like choosing a name like a Greek mythology character. And so the villains chose this mythological Mandarin character and created a terrorist out of them to scare. And for me, it was it was perfect because not only did it mess with the audience, but it set up the idea that whenever we want to down the line, we can give you the authentic one we want to.
I'm happy we're getting the real one and Sean.
Oh yeah, 100%. But it was a great plot twist to
absolutely. That movie has a ton of other problems that put it at the bottom 3 Marvel movies that have nothing to do with the Mandarin. because the fact that
Ben Kingsley's having a ball.
They still can't even explain to me how the villain powers in Iron Man 3 even work. One guy gets shot and exploded and comes back to life and he's totally fine.
It's
Another guy
Shane
gets
Black.
knocked out
There
and
is
dies.
no explaining.
There's no logic to any of the powers for the villains in that movie. They strap Guy Pearce into an Iron Man suit and blow him up, and he's fine. The guy just walks away. He's fine.
I don't know.
So that movie has a million.
I
problems.
forgot about that. That is.
Oh my god. There's a million problems in that movie, but for me, the Mandarin ain't one.
No, and then when Ben Kingsley breaks character and he's the actor, where
The
he's
British accent comes out. It's so good.
Ole, you're freaking me out, man! Stop.
Yeah,
It became Lethal Weapon.
Game, yeah,
It literally became Lethal Weapon at a certain point.
it did. Yeah, but anyway, sorry, Prestige.
So I'd say we're all pretty.
ScarJo. I know you guys already kind of touched on her, but I forgot to jump in. Small role, but God, she's just amazing.
Effective, especially when she like breaks up basically with Borden. She's like, both of you are assholes. Like,
Yeah,
You deserve each other.
yeah.
that was a good line. And her accent actually was pretty good. It was pretty
And then when
good.
she starts talking about like, you don't care that your wife just killed herself,
Yeah. Oof.
which brings into the one is broken up completely. And then the other one's like, fuck her. I don't care. Like, I love my daughter. He did genuinely care about the daughter.
For
Well,
those
which
that are
one though?
the good one,
Like John was saying, was it?
No, I think both Bordens like the daughter. The one that was in jail, the bad brother,
See,
he seemed genuinely concerned about her well-being.
for me, that moment, the redemption of the evil brother, it's very Tale of Two Cities. You know, it's a far, far better place I go to than I've ever gone. Right.
oh man,
One of them basically gets to redeem themselves by giving the only thing they've got left to give. And it's a nice moment, but it for me, it's almost like disingenuous because you can't make up for the fact that you made a living hell out of all these characters' lives for an entire story and then hope to like fix it by dying for yourself. Like it almost is a bit of ego again, because he's getting to complete his magic trick for the one person in the audience who can appreciate it, which is Angiers, right? He's going to perform the magic trick one last time and really prove that he's the better magician.
Which Bale's reaction when he shows up to the prison,
Yeah.
I thought that was a great bit of performance, because he literally looked like he was about to like drop dead right there. He's like,
yeah.
that's him, I killed him.
Yep.
So, was it the ego one that actually fell in love with Sarah, or was it the other one?
The good brother fell in love with
Good
Sarah.
brother
And then the
had
ego one was in
married
love with the girl that died at the
the
beginning.
assistants. Yeah.
With Scarlett Johansson as well. He says that he loved her, but I think he only loved her because she was Danton's, that he stole from her, basically.
Yep.
Which basically she got fed up with his behavior and then got fed up with the other one's behavior.
I would just love her for being ScarJo, but I guess that's me. I mean,
It's so weird because it's like toxic masculinity of one-upping each other.
Yeah.
There's jealousy, competitiveness. And again, like, Danton stole people's acts, but they said in the beginning, Borden's not a showman.
Nope.
Where would you put this for Hugh Jackman's performances? Like, I know his body of work isn't very broad, and he did a lot of Broadway, though.
Nah.
I'm not trying that, but
I think my favorite performances are going to be like The Greatest Showman. I think is a phenomenal movie, and I love it. I love the singing, the dancing. I'm a musical fan, so I can totally dig it. Of course, he's amazing in Les Mis. I mean, he's just.
I mean, Russell Crowe singing like topped everything.
Obviously, you can kind of plug your ears for certain portions.
I felt bad for him. I really did, because he caught so much shit. But
He's a rock star. What are you talking about?
I did
Yeah.
love the fact that he
don't
actually
care.
put himself out there for that. There was also that Phantom of the Opera movie they did where Emmy Rossum was in that, and I thought she did actually a pretty damn good job. And I think Hugh Jackman was in that as the Phantom.
No, he's not the Phantom in that. Who is the Phantom in that? Drat. I'll have to look it up.
That accent. I did like that they made him, and Colorado Springs was such a key part of this damn movie.
Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler, okay. The other guy, the 300 guy. I knew it was some
the other
macho dude.
Russell Crowe-like guy.
Gerard Butler, the movie Gamer, I weirdly liked. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't think I've seen that one.
With Michael C. Hall from Dexter in it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think I watched that one.
It was directed by the guys who made Crank, and I don't know if I've put it out there enough, but those guys are fucking insane. I'll watch anything they put out, even this horrible Ghost Rider, the Spirit of Vengeance movie.
Was it before or after Crank?
After Crank.
Okay, yeah, that's probably why I haven't seen it.
Oh god, Crank and Crank 2 are like, just knowing that Nicolas Cage was supposed to be Jason Statham in that movie makes it all the more entertaining, because I start trying to picture Nicolas Cage in that movie, but then just watch Mandy.
That would be kind of fun.
Mandy is probably the best Nicolas Cage insane movie I've ever watched.
That's still on my list, man. I got a long list. It's on there, though.
So we're all very positive on this movie. So out of a rating out of 10, what would you give it, Carlito?
Solid 9. So 4.5 out of 5. Yeah, I mean, depending on the day, it could be like a 4.25 or 8.5. But right now, after rewatching it after 14 years, yeah, solid 9.
John?
Not one of my top 3 Nolan movies, but definitely just, I mean, it's Nolan, man. He's just awesome. So,
no, I would definitely give it at least a 9. It's one of my favorites, so it ranks pretty darn high for me. I love the structure of the narrative is incredibly unique, and that's really what got me, was to feel like I had seen somebody structure a movie in a way that I hadn't seen before. That he had really imagined the basic film structure while also following a lot of the rules of character arcs. So yeah.
I'm probably about an 8.5 to a 9 on it. I was probably an 8.5 the first time I saw it. I don't think you really start appreciating the movie until you know what the ending is and you go back. Like, I think this is my 3rd or 4th time watching it, which is weird that it came out a long time ago and I haven't watched it that often. But this time I was like, oh, it's the snake eating its tail. The beginning and the ending, it all matches together. It's the Ouroboros.
Yep.
And you start noticing little things. Like this time I noticed the 2 Bordens walk differently. I never noticed that before. And it wasn't until that Hugh Jackman scene following him through the streets that I noticed they had a different cadence to how they walked. And for Christian Bale to actually do that in his acting,
yeah,
I don't think we give him enough fucking credit. I really don't. I think
he's so understated, though, and I think that's why he doesn't get enough credit. Because I mean, if you look at like Split, where what's his face, James McAvoy does like 30 different personalities. I mean, it's not all quite ad-libbed on that level, but it's
all ad-libbed, which is
still
insane.
On that level. But McAvoy's so overstated sometimes that I think he gets more attention than Bale does. So.
It was just the little things I noticed this time around. And sure. I mean, that's a choice by the actor. I don't think that's him getting direction. That is 100% a choice. And I don't put Bale up there with Daniel Day-Lewis, because Daniel Day-Lewis like loses himself in the role. Like, you know, you hear about what was the movie? With
There Will Be Blood.
There Will Be Blood, where like he was just a nonstop asshole on the set. And then as Butcher Bill from Gangs of New York.
That's my favorite role of his, man.
He can play. Gary Oldman can play so over the top, and he can play understated as well.
Yeah, true.
I mean, God, Gary Oldman in The Professional, holy shit. And then he's in Fifth Element, which a favorite movie that the director has never come out with anything even touching the hem of that movie again. Famously sued by John Carpenter for that Guy Pearce movie, Lockdown?
Lockup?
The space prison. John Carpenter's like, you stole Escape from New York.
Did he win, though?
Yes, he did.
Ooh.
And then everybody's like, well, Metal Gear Solid stole all your stuff. He's like, yeah, but I like Hideo Kojima. He literally said that in the press release. I was just like,
does that mean that the filmmakers for Doc Hollywood can sue the Pixar guys for making Cars? That movie is legit the exact same story.
I've never seen that.
Or does that mean that Nolan and his crew can sue the makers of Skyfall for basically doing The Dark Knight? I mean, because that's basically a total replica. Total replica. I'm calling it out right now. Hot take. Boom. In the comments. See ya.
I love Casino Royale so much, and I gotta say, like,
that was good. I like.
There's parts of what was the second one?
Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, the Quantum of Solace.
Not bad.
It was okay. Skyfall was okay, but Spectre.
I loved Skyfall. I mean,
I love Spectre.
Even if
Skyfall was a little slow.
Dark Knight, I love Skyfall. They nailed it.
Of course you do, John. Of course you do.
They nailed it, man. That movie was amazing.
There's
why
some
wouldn't
scenes
why
in
wouldn't
it
you
that
want
are
them to
good.
take that? Like, I'm happy about it.
And then Javier Bardem. I mean, obviously he's good in that.
And the homoerotic stuff between Bardem and Daniel Craig, I'm like, yes, I get, do it, yes.
And then there's like a 50-year-old bottle of Macallan that they have in that too, where he puts that shot on the head. I mean, Jesus, it's got to be expensive Macallan.
That's my guy.
100%. Like, literally, in Nolan's movies, like, depending on the year, I could change the order a little bit, but Memento, Inception, and this movie are probably right in there for me. Like, Memento's so hard to overlook because at the time it was so different.
Yeah, it was.
It was mind blowing, and I
remember having to watch it
theater, like,
right after I finished it the first time. Because
I did.
like,
I went back the same
Yeah.
night. I saw it with. I went on the morning, and then I went that night with my wife, and then I went later that weekend with my in-laws just to see it. So I saw it 3 times in the theater, and in like the course of like a long weekend.
I was not lucky enough to see that one in the theater. I think I actually saw it on my friend's Blu-ray or DVD or whatever.
But I will say, like, I have a weird like for Dark Knight Rises. Like, it's kind of dumb, but Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, I totally bought into.
No, dude,
I thought she was great.
Totally bought into that. When she swings her leather draped leg over the freaking bat pod, dude, I'm like 15 again. Seriously.
Well, even when she was
I try to love that movie. I really try to love Dark Knight.
There's parts to like in it,
but
and
there's
again,
a lot of good stuff in it.
What I love is everything except the central plot. And once you get into the plot, I'm like, why did he? I mean, Nolan.
Where's the trigger?
He had to write a movie where the central plot device was, will the nuclear bomb go off? And Batman, of course, just stops being Batman. Like, this is.
But it was always going to go off. That was
ruins it. No, you don't.
Very Nolan ending though, with Michael Caine at that French cafe.
Oh, I like that ending. I really do.
God, so
I like the statue reveal too. I was like, oh man, I was balling.
Just pass on all of it.
Balling.
Dark
I was in the theater. I was in the theater taking my suit and like hiding it with my head underneath it because I was just like balling.
Every time they're talking about the nuclear bomb, I'm like, oh, this movie. God damn you.
Sid and Nancy, Gary Oldman was great in his Sid Vicious.
Gary Oldman is amazing, and I enjoyed him a bunch in the Mank movie he made this last year. Even though that movie is not very entertaining. And
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
I rewatched that this last year. He's great in that too. So,
like, Dark Knight, my problem is it's 30 minutes too long. You cut out that last 30 minutes. Dark Knight.
Okay.
It's 30 minutes too long. If you end with that Joker part, with him hanging there, I think it's a solid movie. Once you get into the more of the Two-Face stuff, I thought it just didn't fit. It just was too much.
But then that kind of destroys the whole plot from the Joker, though.
I like the origin of Two-Face. I just don't think it needs to end with the lie and the murder of Two-Face. Like, I think that
if they ended with him just escaping from the hospital and then taking out those other cops, perfect.
And then disappearing into the city, and we don't know where he went. Like, I'm okay with that more. I just don't think you needed to kill him. I'm usually an opponent to killing a comic book villain in the first time they appear in a movie. I'm usually the guy that's like, that's just a stupid decision. Why are we all? And it has kind of, for a long time, it had been the strategy. You always had to kill the villain at the end. Had to die.
But
I'm just
Well, he didn't actually kill him. It was just like an accident. So
I meant like the writer. I meant the writer. Why does the writer?
I know.
Sorry.
Also, Cillian Murphy.
Everybody thinks so. So you're
Cillian Murphy as Jonathan
even if
Crane.
you're wrong, it's okay.
The funny thing is, those are the only two of the Daniel Craig ones I even like. So there you go.
Cillian Murphy as Jonathan Crane, Scarecrow, and then popping up in Dark Knight Rises. I thought he was great. And if you've never seen Red Eye, he is so fucking frightening in that movie. And 28 Days Later, fantastic.
28 Days Later, yeah.
Even 28 Weeks Later, I've learned to appreciate later on.
I think I've seen that one. It wasn't.
We got John on a little bit of a time crunch now. So
of course he is.
Let's talk about Fear Street 94. John did not watch it.
What?
I didn't.
I popped
You're not
it
really
on
into
last
the
minute.
slashers, though, are you, John?
I will say I was a big fan when I was in junior high and high school. I watched everything.
So you're saying that me and Dan are immature, in other words?
No, I
dropped it on him last minute.
I can still love a good horror movie. I just tend to like the creepier stuff and the less gory stuff.
No, I'm with you.
This wasn't gory at all.
I like the psychological stuff most of the time, but
absolutely. So like The Others.
Oh
Nicole
yeah,
Kidman is one of my favorite horror films as an adult. I can watch Nicole Kidman and The Others over and over again.
Yeah, that reveal freaked me out, man.
Speaking of kind of ghostly, The Frighteners with Michael J. Fox.
Great movie.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Overlooked.
Yeah.
Overlooked.
For sure.
I think because Michael J. Fox was in it, people didn't take it as a serious horror movie.
He was great in it.
So Fear Street 94 came out. It is based off of the R.L. Stine young adult children's books, but with a more of a teen vibe to it. You got a little bit of lesbianism. They talk about Pound Town in it. It is kind of a love letter to 90s horror movies. There's a little bit of supernatural, definitely some Scream vibes.
Oh, yeah.
Very much. Perry Nemiroff, formerly of Collider, she might still be with Collider. She really liked it, but I think it's because of the Scream vibes. I thought it was a good setup for the other movies. I'm at a solid 7.5 on it. You have to watch the other two for it to wrap around. The last one, 1666, actually ends up being two different time periods in it. 1666 and back to 1994. 1978 was my favorite.
I'm still going to watch those two, but I didn't even think about a rating yet.
It was okay. There's been a drought of horror movies, so I thought it was better.
I was just like, it's okay. It was at a solid, this is garbage until the ending, because I thought it was going a certain way. Are we talking spoilers or no?
We can, yeah.
John's
not going to watch it.
Yeah, are you going to watch
John
it?
John actually doesn't mind spoilers with this stuff.
I don't mind spoilers at all.
Okay.
No, fine, go for it.
I mean, it's not really a spoiler, but it kind of, if anybody hadn't seen it.
No, who cares?
So, yeah, at the end when they're, when the kid ordered pizza and they're at home and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, this is going to end with them pretty much surviving and nothing, I don't know, just a kind of happy ending thing, which is funny. I don't like that in my horror or slasher films. I don't like the happy endings. I think it's dumb and unrealistic, which, we're talking about horror here, but anyway. So, yeah, at first I was like, oh man, this is how it's going to end. This is so corny. It's so dumb. And then it flips real quick, which I thought was a nice little twist, but still, I'm probably no higher than a 7. I actually, until I see the other two, I'm thinking 6.5, maybe 7 at the highest. So
I always call it there's a horror drought, and people will pump up stuff that maybe isn't the best.
Well, there was a boom for a couple of years there, so now we're kind of in a
So It Follows to me is one of those movies where everybody was so hard up for a good horror movie that they pumped it up to an A+, and I think it's like a C at best.
I would give that like 100 out of 10. That movie is fan-fucking-tastic. So you get out of here.
So there was another movie that came out at the same time, The Babadook, where literally I wanted to kill the child. I wanted to kill that kid.
Oh, yeah, that one. So you like Babadook better than It Follows?
No, I liked It Follows more because I like Micah Monroe. But if you like Micah Monroe, watch The Guest, because Dan Stevens is fucking magic in that, doing a British guy doing a Matthew McConaughey impersonation. 100%. He is going full McConaughey, and I'm here for it.
So that one was. So I remember we talked about this behind the scenes last time, but like The Guest, there's another movie that's kind of like it. Or at least the title's like it, that I confused it with, and I can't remember.
Well, there's The Guest, and then there's The Gift.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The Gift is horrible.
Yeah, The Gift was garbage.
I love The Invitation.
The Invitation was fantastic.
Super creepy. And again, what I liked about it was not that it was bloody or violent, because it just was like a slow
psychological thriller.
I'm living a nightmare right now.
Yeah.
Like I love, or I shouldn't say I love. I am interested and find a lot of curiosity in cult mentality, and some of the way people get lost. They lose themselves in cults, and so The Invitation has this nugget of like, no, it's not a cult. We just really grew to understand ourselves better, and then little by little, it's like, yeah, it's a freaking cult. Just watch yourself. Like it just grows, and the paranoia of the
and it's got Kevin from The Office in it.
Builds. It's just like, what is happening?
Dude, that's what I was feeling like in that movie with Florence Pugh, the one she got notoriety for.
Yes, yeah.
The one in the fields and stuff.
Yeah.
Midsommar.
I was not a fan of that, and that movie super annoyed me because I'm just like, yeah, this is a cult. This is what happens. And everybody's like, shh, shh. And I'm like, this is
I can enjoy Midsommar, but at the same time, what frustrates me about that movie is it's like we're supposed to sympathize with her, and at the end when she's smiling, there's this weird moment where like a female audience, you hear women talk about that movie, and they're like, it's girl empowerment. And I'm like, what the hell are you watching? That's the scariest reaction you just had to this movie.
So Cinia Reeds is like a huge fan of that movie. Like,
if you look at that as a girl empowerment movie, then I am scared for girl empowerment, because girl empowerment is just like murder your boyfriend. Screw that guy.
There's a reason why single women are on the rise, and it's because of that movie.
It's like, holy crap, that's dark.
That's empowerment. Whew.
But a movie that will try your patience, but I think is good, is The Witch.
I'm not having it. Sorry, I'm not.
I'm not getting into that one. I've already received so much Twitter
I have a ton
hate.
of friends who call that their favorite horror film of
so
the
do
last
I.
30
And
Not
years.
a favorite horror movie. I just thought it. I thought the actress who was in Split
the
was
lead.
very good in it.
Yeah. I think for me, the movie had like 2 or 3 scary bits, but the rest of it, I was just friggin' bored. Even the ending, the reveal at the end, like I laughed when the goat kills.
So did I.
I laughed. I'm like, this is hilarious.
Black Phillip.
And then they get in to talk to the witch or whatever, the devil, and I was just like, the goat is talking. Like, this is I'm
also,
like, I
felt the same.
all of the fear that had been built up was like,
yes.
For everybody enjoying the horror talk, in October, Carlito and I are going to be going weekly with special guests. I know you talked about JoJo coming on with us. We're going to be doing a horror movie a week.
Nice.
Halloween Kills is going to be a big one during that for me. Also, I talked to Jennifer. I have September's movie picked out for us already.
Nice.
We're doing David Lynch's Dune.
Sweet.
Prior to going into Dune.
Wait, what? You guys are going to talk about Dune?
So October, we're going to do a Celluloid and Scotch and Dune over crossover. So we're going to have all the ladies on with us.
Buckle up, Carlito.
Awesome.
And we're going to talk the new Dune because it's going to be on HBO Max. It's going to be out in IMAX. And the cast for that movie is insane.
It's bomb.
So we're going to be outnumbered. Are we going to be able to get like John or Bearded on with us? Or
I would love. I pay for.
I'm definitely going to see Dune.
I pay for the extended version of ours, so we can have as many as we want.
Nice.
Sweet.
But
John, I will pay for your booking fee if that's You know,
Bearded and John are always welcome on. Like, I'd love to do a crossover episode if we want to do Fincher, whether it's coming on your show
and stand in for him.
Like, if we do like a Fincher and come on your show and do it, like, I think Fincher is deserving of retrospective now.
Bounce back and forth,
dude. 7 is the best Fincher movie ever. I'm telling you,
I'm not going to bow away from it, but for me, it's Zodiac. Zodiac, come on, all day. Zodiac.
People go with Fight Club, but I think Zodiac, top to bottom.
Yeah,
I have to rewatch it.
Zodiac makes me feel transported to a place I scared to go, and okay. I can't get away from it.
Dude, so
we're running tight. John needs to be off of here soon. Sorry,
I can do mine and then leave if you guys want to keep going.
Oh no, let's do our movies. You go first. Bring your movie that you want to talk about.
I didn't actually grab it off my shelf, but so I mentioned at the beginning of the show that I was going to pick my movie pick that maybe people might have missed is going to be a movie that I feel like for those filmmakers is similar to the way The Prestige is for Christopher Nolan, which is a really, really great movie that sometimes gets overlooked with all the other great movies. So I'm going Coen Brothers, and I feel like the Coen Brothers movie that often gets overlooked for me is Miller's Crossing, and I freaking love Miller's Crossing.
Good movie.
If you've missed it, it is and like The Prestige, it's a movie that gets better the more you watch it because it is really challenging the first time you watch it. So it centers around Gabriel Byrne, who's the right hand to the Irish mob in Chicago. And Albert Finney is the leader of the mob. There's also the incoming Italian mob who's trying to take over, and it's all during the Prohibition era of Chicago. And so there's a lot of like gangster fightings going on. And it seems like Gabriel Byrne from Usual Suspects is maybe sleeping with the boss's girl and also like maybe betraying the boss at the same time. It's a lot of everybody playing everybody else. And you're never sure when someone is telling you the truth or whether they're telling you a lie. And it's the beauty of the movie is this back and forth. And if you watch it several times, that's when you start to see when people are playing one another and who's really doing the long con here and who's doing the short game. John Turturro is phenomenal in this movie as the sleaziest, slimiest guy.
Great character actor.
He's caught in the middle of the whole thing because his sister is Albert Finney's girlfriend, the one that Byrne is sleeping with on the side, and he's manipulating everybody with his sister's sluttiness, basically, and playing everybody, and then everybody feels like they owe him because Turturro has their secrets. But little by little, Gabriel Byrne is trying to get one up on him. Really great movie, hugely overlooked in the everybody talks about Raising Arizona or even Blood Simple, but I think Miller's Crossing just kind of goes under the radar.
Dude, it's crazy. I've never seen it, but I've heard it talked about a lot.
So good.
I think even Fire Guy brought it up to me one time.
The dialogue. Want to talk about the Sheeny curse?
Yes. The dialogue is like Shakespeare in the sense that not only is it poetic, but it is really hard to understand because they use a lot of slang and you're trying to keep up with it. And people have 3 or 4 nicknames sometimes, and it's hard to know who they're talking about at different times.
Game of Thrones.
Yes. And one of the best things about it, too, is you're never sure who's sleeping with who. There's even like a gay love story kind of buried in there. And you realize at the end why characters might hate one another is this like gay love triangle that's buried underneath the story. So a lot of text, a lot of subtext, and a lot of deep layering going on in Miller's Crossing. So great gangster movie. For me, it's only second to the Godfather trilogy as far as my favorite.
Wow.
Whew. Yeah,
that's high praise.
It beats pretty much all of Scorsese because I'm not a big Scorsese fan, but for me, it beats those. I mean,
you had me at Irish Mob, so I was.
Hey, there you go.
I mean, Scorsese, he has some interesting movies. Like I still like. I think The Departed is a fantastic movie.
I mean, I like his movies. I'm just saying.
Wall Street is just.
I like his stuff. I don't love it. Versus Miller's Crossing, I adore. And I just think that movie is. I've watched it probably 20 times.
Hudsucker Proxy, also by Coen Brothers, I really liked.
Right.
Coen's got some weird movies. Yeah.
Speaking of, John, real quick before you go, I want to do a hot take. The reason why Nolan is the best director of all time is because like we were saying earlier, you go back and you rewatch this movie so much, and then you find different stuff, and then I don't know. It's just
I think that's
every single one we talk about. Someone brings up like, yeah, I went back and I've rewatched it 2 or 3 times, and like it makes you think. You see this, and I'm just like, man,
it's a sign of a good filmmaker. I think when they've got layers that you don't recognize the first time you view it.
So I will go here with this. If you haven't watched Apocalypse Now in a long time, go back and watch that, and you'll find shit that as an adult you never thought about before. And there's so much going on in that movie. Watch Hearts of Darkness, the documentary about the making of that.
I have seen that. Oof.
Yes.
Where Coppola's losing his fucking mind. And then you watch Tropic Thunder after that, and you're like, they are making fun of him.
Absolutely.
And like the fact that Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, I put Coppola way high on my favorite filmmakers list. And whether it's even like Rainmaker, which I think is horribly overlooked on the Coppola scale, I think Rainmaker with Matt Damon is a phenomenal Coppola movie. And then, of course, The Conversation is easily my favorite overlooked movie from Coppola. Great.
I have a problem with Coppola just because of the fact that the guy who made the Jeepers Creepers movies was a friend of his, and he is a pedophile, and Francis Ford Coppola defended him and hid him. I have a problem with him, and also hiding behind his daughter during the entire Godfather 3 stuff, where he let her take the fall for it.
I don't know anything about any of that, but I'm gonna still hold on to my Coppola love.
He is a great director. Fantastic director. There's little things in his life that I had issues with.
I mean, let's be honest. You're talking to a guy with a Chinatown poster behind him, so clearly, I'm willing to let artists and their work be separate.
Going back to Chinatown, if you haven't watched Brick is the high school version of Chinatown.
In fact, actually, for me, it's more the Chinese version of the Maltese Falcon. But yeah,
but Brick, you might hate Rian Johnson for whatever that second Star Wars movie was.
The awful one, The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi. So I like that they let him take chances. I don't think they gave him a good framework to work with, but I love that he took chances. But besides that, go back and watch Brick. Go and watch Looper. Rian Johnson is a very talented director, and Knives Out, fucking fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, see, this is where I split from you guys. I thought Knives Out was okay. Like, his stuff just, I don't know, it doesn't bring me in. Like, so I can see the story's well done, the acting is phenomenal and everything, but it doesn't do much for me more than that. So like, I feel like I'm an outsider because everybody on my Twitter's posted about Knives Out too. Like, oh God, did this, and I'm just like, I want to say, yeah, I'm not that excited for it.
Didn't need a part 2, but just watch Brick.
Someone's excitement, so I'm just like, okay, it is what it is. But
no, I think for Brick and Looper alone, he has me. Like, I'm all in, and I still apologize for his Star Wars movie because I enjoyed it. So
the parts of it I like, parts I didn't.
The one that came after was easily worst for me. Like I have so many problems with that last one. That's like, what is happening in this?
Absolutely, 100% wrong, John. Wrong.
There's great set pieces,
especially
that fight on the down Star Destroyer.
Oh my God, the last moment when like one of them's dying, and then like, no, I'm going to save you and bring you back to life so that you can die. And I'll die. You're dying. You're dying. I don't know who's dying, but one of us is dying.
Also,
the concept of the Force bringing people back to life by healing them is stupid. Like, oh my God, this is a stupid plot point.
Also,
Space Leia. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, if you're a Paul Dano fan, from Looper, go check out Ruby Sparks. Which was a fantastic movie with him, and also he is going to be the Riddler in the new Batman movie.
He is.
Paul Dano is a very understated actor who I think is very good. He was in that weird Daniel Radcliffe movie where he was the farting body.
Yeah.
Oh,
The Swiss Army Man or something.
Swiss Army Man.
Yeah, that's funny.
John, I know you need to go because you got 6 minutes till your next show starts.
Yep.
But thank you so much for pinch hitting and stopping in to talk this movie. I appreciate it.
I love this movie. Happy to do it.
We may or may not see you for Descender next week. Just let me know last minute. It's fine. We've got enough people.
No, I mean, obviously I'm a big Descender fan too, but thanks for having me. You guys are awesome, and we need to hang out again. Absolutely.
Yeah, like I said, if you and Bearded want to come on, or you want us to come on and do like a weird retrospective, I am there for it.
Absolutely. Or if you like need someone to defend Nolan and you don't have anybody, I'm always down for that.
I tend to defend him as well, so I'm with you on that one. All right, guys.
I can see why people don't like him. I can see why people love him. It's one of those things. It's with every director. Ridley Scott is another one you can defend or hate.
I'm halfway there with you.
But John, again, thank you. And I will be tuning into your Donner retrospective as soon as we finish up.
Awesome. Night, guys.
Take care. Okay, Carlito, it's your turn.
So I didn't know we were supposed to pick a lesser known film this time.
Oh, no. It's just whatever you think people might have missed out on. So it could be a better known movie.
Well, you want to do yours, and I'm going to go check something out real quick on my list.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
So for me, I know in the past I talked about the Deathstroke movie that never happened. That was going to be done by a action movie director named Gareth Evans. It'll be The Raid Redemption. There is 1 and 2. If you buy it now, you'll probably get both in the same Blu-ray set. One of the best action movies, and they take place in a contained environment. The fight choreography is incredible. Literally, when I found out that Gareth Evans was going to be involved in the Deathstroke movie, and it was going to take place as an Arkham Breakout movie, I thought there's no better director you could have. And again, the fight choreography in The Raid is incredible. If you even want to check it out, from The Raid 2, there is a Hammer Girl fight. If you put in Hammer Girl Raid, you will find it in there. And it is one of the most insane fights between hammers, a bat, and a guy with his fists. Gareth Evans is so underrated as an action director. The Raid is an underrated series. I mean, there's only 2 movies, so I don't know if you can really call it a series, but as a 2-movie run, it is incredible. The first is basically police invading an apartment complex. Pretty comparable to the Dredd movie, except this had martial arts and everything else involved. It is so tense. It'll keep you kind of like sitting up on your couch waiting for the next thing to happen. The showdowns are great. Again, the fight choreography could never be better. And the fact that at one point, until WB fucking lost their balls, we could have had a Deathstroke movie made by Gareth Evans and possibly would have shown how Deathstroke lost his eye to Batman. Fuck you. Like, agreed. Seriously. And I feel bad for Joe Manganiello, because there is nobody who is out there more hyping up this character, this movie, and he kind of got screwed in all of it. But please check out this movie. For under $20, you can get both movies on Blu-ray from Amazon. Oh yeah, Famous Monsterful. Like, literally, this was in the works, and then WB just said, fuck Snyder, we can't. We're distancing ourselves from him as much as possible. So anybody he had in his movies other than Wonder Woman and Aquaman, which were our 2 most successful movies, we're walking away from. But The Raid, if you love Donnie Yen movies, if you love Jackie Chan movies, amp it up to 11. That is what these are.
Nice.
Fuck you, Warner Brothers.
Dude, I gotta watch those, man. Those are on my list too. My
They're
list
so
just keeps
cheap to
growing
pick
and
up.
growing.
They're
Like
so
I-
cheap to pick up on Amazon. Like sometimes you can pick them up for under $10 for the two
No
Blu-ray
kidding.
set.
Because I don't think there's anywhere where you can stream them right now, so I'll probably just buy them.
You have the password for my movies anywhere. I have them both on there.
Dude, I'm not gonna use it. But I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
If you got a slow day.
Yeah, but some good news on your whole little take there on Deathstroke and Snyder and stuff. Snyder sent out some tweets to, I think it was Ben Affleck or something, and I read an article talking about how Snyder's like giving a big push for Ben to do his Batman versus Deathstroke movie now. So I don't know.
They
Maybe
should.
we might see like a one-off Affleck's last Batman movie, and
And
Joe
honestly,
Manganiello
if
back,
if
so.
they made that to exclusive to HBO Max,
Yeah,
just let him do what the fuck he wants to do. If it's 3
Hell
hours,
yeah.
it's 3 hours.
that'd be fucking sweet.
Joe Manganiello deserves it just for literally putting himself out there promoting this shit constantly.
He does, man.
He's a huge comic fan. He's a huge
Oh, yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons fan.
Yep.
And he kind of got screwed in all of it. Like, at least he got his scene in the Snyder cut where he's like, where they're like, you lost your eye to Batman. Don't you want revenge? He's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I thought the Snyder cut did him and Manganiello and Deathstroke a lot more justice than the Whedon cut or whatever. So
100% also, like, I think Joker got redeemed.
a little bit, yeah. Leto's still not my favorite, but I do think
It was
gave
better.
It gave him a little bit more depth and a little bit more character than he had and everything else. So
Your movie.
well, funny. I was gonna grab this and then I didn't, and then you talked about Deathstroke and stuff. So then I went back and I grabbed it. This is the best Deathstroke movie we've got to date, and it's in the DCAU. Deathstroke, Knights and Dragons. Even like my fellow comic book friends have been sleeping
I
on
don't
it.
think I watched that.
They have not seen it, and I'm telling you, man, as a huge Deathstroke fan, like this just fleshes out and gives such a better feel of character development and like kind of what I like in my head when I read the Deathstroke comics. I kind of think of Deathstroke as and always have. So yeah, it's I'm gonna probably rewatch it tonight.
I didn't like how
haven't
they
watched
used
it.
him in that Son of Batman movie.
Yeah, that wasn't my favorite version of him, but I still enjoyed that movie.
It was okay. Just they kind of made him a bitch.
Yeah, no doubt.
And again, if you want classic Deathstroke, go back to the George Perez, Marv Wolfman Teen Titans. Where
Indeed.
Deathstroke he's scary. Also, Identity Crisis, where all these DC heroes are fighting Deathstroke, and they're scared shitless when he shows up.
Yep. That has one of the best covers and stories too that I have. So, and then I also
100%.
like it's the Rebirth, I think, or maybe it was the New 52. Was it? No, it was Rebirth, where Deathstroke steals the Flash's powers.
Yes.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was good. There was also the Terror Titans right before New 52 started, where they fought the Teen Titans, where he had like dark versions of the Titans, and I thought that was good also.
I have those books, but I have not read them yet. So
Yeah, we haven't
yeah.
really dipped much into the animated stuff.
I don't either, but like the DCAU stuff, the DC animated,
It's very
yeah.
good.
Like,
I
they're
just
just
got
killing
Last
it.
Halloween Part 1.
Oh, I need to.
Long Halloween Part 1.
I need to get that, and I need to watch that. I still haven't read the trade that's sitting over here that I was supposed to read like 2 years ago, but
The animated was pretty faithful.
was it?
Like,
That's what I heard.
I was kind of shocked because it hadn't been like that since the Under the Red Hood.
That was really good.
Yes, it was very good.
Super good. I have pretty much all of the. Personally, don't see Midsummer. Oh boy, here we go.
It was a little bit like it was revenge on a horrible boyfriend. Like that guy was a fucking douche.
Here's what pisses me off about that movie is, so the whole time it wasn't about that, but then you walk away and it feels like that's what it was about. Whereas I think, the cinematography and the other stuff before it could have been more interesting without that stuff. I mean,
the colors pop. I remember the part I cringed at when they were eating the soup with the pubes in it. I was like, what in the fuck is happening? Like,
yeah. That's,
Hereditary is another movie where like I feel like it's meant to shock.
So I guess to kind of touch on what Heather was saying there, like, I agree. Like, it's not a female empowerment movie, but I do think that it has been hijacked.
Yes.
From
it's a revenge movie.
Yeah, as like a revenge movie, kind of to ex-boyfriends or something from angry females.
Another movie that got hijacked like that, Jennifer's Body.
I have not seen that one.
Like, all of a sudden it's had a weird resurgence, and like people now made it a female empowerment movie.
Interesting.
And I don't see it that way, but the actor represented tripping on mushrooms.
Yeah, see, like,
yes.
That's what I was thinking for most of it. Yeah. Well, tripping on mushrooms while being involved in a cult.
Even at the end where she's smiling, I was like, oh, she's high as fuck.
Yeah.
So that is our movie picks. I think we're at a good point. I want to go catch John on his Donner show. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll have next month's pick pretty soon. We were kind of last minute with this one, but we picked a good one to talk about because we went almost an hour just talking about that movie.
I was last minute. You were okay.
Well, I had several different picks, but that's fine. I feel like Suicide Squad is going to be a movie we're going to talk about in August.
Oh, you mean the new one?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I'm down.
We can talk about both movies and kind of.
Yeah. I don't have anything.
We don't need to rewatch the old one, but we can compare and contrast.
That's fair. That's fair.
But the reviews so far from people who saw it early have been good, and that makes me nervous. And of course, we'll be bringing movies that you might not have seen. In September, I've kind of already locked down to David Lynch's Dune. Jennifer, Comics Will Break Your Heart. My former weekly co-host will be joining us for that. We might bring some more on. But go catch John and Bearded for their Donner retrospective. Richard Donner, people don't realize how influential and how big he was. He kind of went away for a while, but Superman was one of the biggest movies and one of the most important movies. And Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, people forget about that.
Lethal Weapon. I mean, Shane Black made a living out of that script.
Yeah. And I gotta say, like, Superman, I mean, God, it embodies everything I think about when I think about, like, being an innocent kid.
Christopher Reeve was so good.
Christopher Reeve, comic books. I actually asked my mom after I saw that, like, whoa, he could really fly? Like, it was amazing.
So thank you, everybody, for joining us. And make sure to follow, subscribe, and if you watch the movies we recommended, let us know in the comments or hit us up on Instagram. All of our stuff is in the description below. But thank you, guys, and we'll catch you later. Bye.